It is good. I think I say it every time.
It's also been a while.
Yeah, it has. A couple weeks. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Aggressively Healthy. It's been a couple weeks. Before we start, there is a disclaimer. None of the information we share during these episodes should be used specifically for your direct medical care as if it's direct medical advice. It is not. It is medical consultation of what's going on informatively so you can know what's available potentially out there in the world, which is where we're going to start. And I'll let Mike take this. Sometimes people don't maybe understand exactly who we are. There will be no questions left unanswered. We're about to tell you exactly who we are and exactly what we do. Mike.
Well, first of all, it's coming at a pretty crazy time where we're just kind of massively expanding and adding services and adding people, adding space. So we moved into the new location right across the parking lot. So it's not like, you know, we're in a different state or town, but we're just going through a lot of big changes, and we have not been great about publicly showing that because some of the projects are incomplete, and we are very particular about how people experience the brand and want to make sure everyone gets a really good experience and result. So that's why we've been a little bit in limbo presenting this stuff, but in probably the next 2 weeks, you're going to see a lot of activity promoting what we're going to be doing, where we're at, what that looks like. And then hopefully you guys will want to come down and take a look.
And the big thing is training, exercise, nutrition, and the medical, right? So in specific, I am Dr. Marko Lujic. In this current facility, I do metabolic healthcare. It is an aggressively healthy version of preventative care. So the whole goal is to get out in front of disease. The goal is not to wait for something to break and then duct tape. I use the airline industry as an example. You would never get on a plane and wait for the engine to explode before you repair the engine. We do that every day with our human self. By definition, the sick care system is designed to help you not die on the day of a pathologic intervention or a disease process or whatever might need to be done procedurally. But there's no version of that prevents those things from happening. Now, as the metabolic MD or whatever we're going to be doing in here metabolically, from your end of it, what's the take on what we can do with these people from what the offering is, exactly what you do in terms of the interventions as well?
I'll start from the client side. I think a lot of people that find us that really don't know us think that it's like almost a medical first facility.
Right.
And, you know, like the training side has been here for 20 years.
As forever.
And that's not to say that that's necessarily the priority. However, you could probably argue that it is the backbone of your treatment plan, not only because of the interventions of physical medicine, training, nutrition, lifestyle adjustment, accountability, but the actual relationship capital and the interactions with your provider.
Yep.
So if you can think of, you know, Marko could see you 4 times a year or 5 times a year, but you see your coach 4 times a week.
Yep.
So that coach then becomes an information collection center for Marko and his team.
Yep.
And they can intervene on different levels at different times with different skills. So like, I want everyone to think of this as like an octopus, not a snake, you know, where we're all getting touch points specifically for what that client needs from that provider. And then that information gets tracked back to the medical side. Yep. And then when you have your quarterly blood panels or your advanced diagnostics, things start to coalesce a lot better.
Yep. And the cool thing is, in an arena like that, we're going to be introducing a scenario to people where you can get it all, right? So one-stop shop, you get everything. You get full package, top down. That's one version of what we want to do. The more important thing is, and I think Mike said it, I got to harp on it. Your barrier to entry to healthcare is exercise. You have to move. You have to do something with your body. And then you got to pay attention to what you eat. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you go to school and you're just like, you got to learn math. It just kind of has to happen so that you can live in the world. Healthcare is the same. The exercise and nutrition are like the fundamentals of healthcare. If you do not know how to move, if you do not know how to use your body, if you are not conscious of what you're eating, it is very easy for somebody like me to sit with a set of lab data and just be like, yeah, everything's bad, everything. But the action items on the lab data we review here are training, are exercise tolerance in terms of whatever might fit that person at the time, and then nutritional standards that we need to keep. What's your take on the average individual's knowledge about barrier to entry into healthcare? Because most people probably say, I hear it all the time, I walk almost every day. Imagine coming into an office and truly, and I mean this with the most amount of like perplexity in my mind of confusion, imagine being proud that like you walk. Now, I guess relative to somebody who's wheelchair bound, yes, the fact that you walked today or you walk every day is a good idea. I think we need more, right? Like I was also told potentially it's intimidating to walk into an exercise facility. It is intimidating because you know what? Healthcare is intimidating. It is a scary proposition to take accountability for your own health. Once you engage with your own health, you can't blame other people, right? So how do we then get these people who are just happy to walk? These are fully capable people that are like, yeah, I walked today and that's my exercise. How do we get them to realize like barrier to entry to healthcare is everything? You have to walk. You have to watch what you're eating. You have to then exercise, and then you should get your metabolism looked at. What does that philosophically mean to the exercise industry? Because really right now, that world can grab healthcare by the genitals and really take control of it. Because right now, that's where we're at in terms of foundational ability to re-educate the population that movement is key.
The hardest thing to overcome is that we have a population that is becoming more and more sedentary.
Yep.
We are also having younger demographics being more and more sedentary, so they have less or fewer exposures earlier in life to a healthy relationship with exercise, and they almost are introduced to it in a punitive way.
Yep.
You take someone who was always a little plump, never got into sports, blah, 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 and then by the time they're 36, they are, obese, and it is now like a consequence. Exercise is the consequence. Like now I have to go do it. So already there is this stigma around it. Now you take a 10-year-old who can't play on the playground, who does not participate in physical exercise, doesn't have a gym class anymore to explore different movements. Like we're just delaying a positive exposure to movement and the exercise and the benefits that comes with that. So I think that's the first real barrier that you mentioned.
Yep.
And then the second thing is most people don't have fun when they work out. They don't enjoy it, whether it's because it's difficult or they feel like the environment of the gym, because a lot of it's group fitness.
Yep.
And people that go there are fit, and then you're the one that's not, and you're kind of lagging behind.
Right.
So I think that's why we have such this personal way of introducing and acclimating and accommodating people at various stages with various abilities and various experiences, how we can get them positive traction sooner. And with the medical piece behind it, it does lower, it doesn't make it necessarily easier, but we take a lot of the barriers out of it.
It makes it amazingly easy to do, because it's, if you're trying to drive your car with no gas, it's not going to fucking move no matter how much you paint it, change the tires. All we're doing is giving fuel, right? Like we're just handing you the fuel so that when Mike says go do A, B, or C, you can actually go do it.
And you know how to do it, you know when to do it, so on and so forth. But like, I think a good way that what we do conceptually is that we just lower the friction in that person's life to start. You know what I mean? Like we take the guesswork out, and I probably say that a lot, but imagine if you said, all you got to do is go to the gym. I've heard that, like, just go to the gym. Like, but that person might not actually have sneakers, might not have a gym membership.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
That's an insanely amazing thing. I kind of want to talk about that for a second, if you don't mind. Go to the gym. Like, what exactly does that mean? Like, imagine a doctor saying, you got to change how you eat and go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine giving somebody a sailboat and being like, you just got to get on it and go that way?
You just got to find the Caribbean.
Yeah,
just find the Caribbean
over there. And here's the boat, and the wind will be
down
up there. You don't know how to use the wind, but you'll figure it out. It's like blowing. It'll just push you. Like, that's exactly the same thing. How dangerous, actually, I believe, is that because it's going to do two things. And we could talk about this a bunch, and we will. One, imagine you're that person. You've never been to a gym. You're actually intimidated by the gym. You walk in, you're at a gym. You don't know what the fuck to do. You're not going back.
Yeah.
Like 9 out of 10 times. Or the second version of that is you go and you're like, oh, I watched online. I should do blah, 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 blah. And you go just completely rip your elbow out. You know what I mean? Like, when do people start to realize that it is a prescriptive ingredient to health? It is not just a random go to the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I would always say, depending on where that person is, something is better than nothing. But typically, because of the lack of understanding, lack of experience, most people who just go to the gym drive to the gym to walk on the treadmill.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
When I'd rather you just walk outside. Like get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
You know, because that person probably doesn't have the right sneakers. They don't even have gym clothes. So that, like, it's just these other steps that they have to then do. And there's so many barriers in that. And it's so easy to justify, like, man, this is hard.
Now you make a silly statement, gym shoes. Somebody out there is like, gym shoes? These guys, you need gym shoes. Let me tell you something. You would not go to a cross-country meet in the woods and wear your dress shoes. Yeah. You would not go play tennis potentially in a pair of golf cleats, and you might not play golf in basketball sneakers. So like, why is lifting different? These are the skill sets you need to develop. And I think that's misunderstood, which is also contributing to chronic illness.
Yeah.
Because if you go to try to get healthy and they make the barrier so impossible because there's no education on it, nobody's going to use it. Like in the 80s and 90s, gyms started like becoming something. Now it's an interesting blend in here. And I just thought about this, and I've never had this thought before. And I don't even know if you did it on purpose, but like the environment you provide here for exercise, it's almost like the best blend of politics and political theory, meaning pure socialism and pure capitalism. Pure capitalism to me is the bodybuilding industry. A single human, giant mass, 5 to 8 people of a team focused on one person to get that one person on a stage to get really, really strong. Complete group fitness with no catered care at all, just a room, 40 minutes of movement, independent of who you are, is pure socialism, I think, in exercise. If we blend those, which is actually what I wish the world would do politically, and you take a capitalist approach to a socialist environment, you develop a system where you have semi-private training. You have a bunch of individuals all on their own program, all thriving in a capitalist style nature. Like I thrive, I become a better doctor. You thrive, you become a better trainer, exercise businessman. Somebody else thrives, they become a better lawyer, right? Like you're experiencing a capitalist style growth in an environment where everybody's growing. I think it's the best blend and the most unintimidating environment you can be in. And I want to tell everybody one major thing. If you walk into Ranfone training systems, there won't be a single person in here that judges you in any negative manner. The only judgment you will get will be severely positive judgment in terms of thank you for coming, right? And congratulations on walking into this arena. And that's kind of the exact environment we want. What do you think about that? I've never brought that up to you.
It's funny when I describe like the semi-private environment to most people, I say this a lot. There's shared resources.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest shared resource are the people, right? The members that have been here 10 years, the person that's willing to give you a helping hand, the coaches on the floor, making sure that you're safe and sound, you know, the equipment itself. So all of that is for the benefit of the masses, to your point. Like, so it is a matter of everyone collectively rises and pulls people, pushes people, but the environment is intentionally built so that everyone gets what they need. Yeah. And some people need more. Right? Like, and that's the cool thing about what we're trying to accomplish from the model perspective.
And the biggest thing in that environment is like if somebody individually needs more attention, you can give that attention while not taking attention away from kind of everybody else either, right? So if you already know this person has the ability to do certain exercises, you can then focus on this person in the time they're doing that, which then builds everybody's repertoire, individually growing, but as a whole becoming better as well, right?
Yeah.
So then your capital in terms of what you earn overall becomes more because everybody around you is going to continue to push you and push you and push you. I think it's the best environment for a socialized style interaction with like the best individualized capitalist style gains.
Well, I mean, one thing, go ahead.
If health, I've said this a million times and I still firmly believe it. If like health was religion or health was politics, nobody would fight about anything.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't care, man. And
maybe
right now at this point in time, yeah. If you walk in with a Rolex or you get out of a Ferrari, but like you don't have veins in your forearms, it's like great. And honestly, I mean that. I love you all for your cars and stuff, but like, I don't know what to tell you. At this point in my life, I respect the guy getting out of the freaking 2018 Corolla or whatever, 1998 Corolla, who's jacked up, who actually puts effort into his health, or the female who really takes time, who has the 2 kids, but you see walking around with a set of quads.
Yeah.
Right? Like you see a mom carrying a baby and pushing a stroller and she's got like muscles in her legs and back. Like that woman tried hard. That's an amazing leader to look at, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the environment you grow that in. The group training is wonderful. I think the bodybuilding industry is wonderful. And these are outliers. They should be the outliers on the bell curve. The bell curve in the middle should be semi-private training, I believe, from my consumer perspective. What do you think about that as a generalized statement?
Yeah, clearly I'm biased because we bought into the semi-private, and I mean, again, we've been doing it for almost 20 years at this point with the semi-private environment, and it's evolved, but most semi-privates, they were born out of this idea of small group training as semi-private, where we have actually a larger population that's served in our semi-private, but everything's personalized. So it was a very specific and intentional difference that we wanted to make.
Yep.
Is because I don't know if everyone should be squatting today, but I do believe squatting should be part of their program, or they should goblet squat. That person should back squat. That person should leg press. So the movement itself is always going to be somewhat universal. The way that they express that movement should be based on their history, their health history, their orthopedic history, their desire, their goal, whatever it may be. So we're able to give that personal touch in the semi-private and again, benefit from the shared resources.
I think the medical end of things is also quote unquote like a semi-private situation. Think about it.
Shared resources.
If you look at the care now in PCP world, that's socialized medicine. Whether you guys like it or not, you get treated like every other person and they're completely equal. That's what they tell you, right? Like we treat everyone the same. Think about how messed up
everyone
that
gets
is.
12 minutes.
Like that's an insane statement as a medical thing.
And you get 12 minutes.
Yeah, and they actually trap the consumer because you're like, oh, great, they treat me just like everybody else. But the standard of care is the treatment of the least effective dose for everything. So you're getting quote unquote socialized care. The opposite is some people pay huge amounts of money. Like there are some doctors out there that are 150, 200K, 250K a year. That is individualized, straight up private, right? That's one-on-one, no matter what. Yeah, I mean, 200K for a doctor, I don't know, per year is a lot. And then I think we fit in the middle. And where I've positioned myself is, yeah, you'll get treated like everybody else, but like everybody else, your standard of care to live up to is really high. We do not sit in my office and I ever tell people like, oh yeah, that's okay. There's nothing that's okay. It's either you're doing really well right now, here's how we can keep it really well or improve it, and here's how we don't let it go in the opposite direction. That's healthcare. That's a semi-private model. It is kind of like the gym. There's no real group classes. There's no super crazy high-end one-on-one that's going to like blow your mind out. But right now, there's a situation where you will get non-algorithmic, really adjusted, catered, specific care. And that's what we want in the training, the medical, and in the health community.
I think you missed a big piece on the medical side.
Yep.
You know, when you talked about the polar opposites, you have, the socialized care and this high-end 200K individualized care. You actually have a team.
Yeah.
that people work with.
Yeah.
So you have APRNs,
Yep.
you have PAs, you have someone dedicated to the physio suite.
Yep.
Like, so it's their success isn't dependent on you being available.
Yes.
It is because that you've put the right people in the right place that has some domain expertise in the thing that they're supposed to be providing. And then you oversee it.
And the cool part, actually,
which again, I don't know if there's another model out there like that.
There's not. And I do believe the curriculum we're developing in terms of interpretation of metabolic health with the use of the biomarkers we have will change the entire interaction of medicine. I do believe that because the data coming out of my office is incredible for healthcare progression. And like Mike said, it is a team approach. I am a philosophical medical practitioner with data that I then transition down to my group of humans that helps me deliver that to a consumer. But that's everybody. That's every person you walk into the office, the front desk to the person running the DEXA to the person injecting anything we do, right? So like at the end of the day, it takes everybody. Same thing like in a gym. Now, a big part of medical discussion in these times has recently been cancer, heart attacks, strokes, and all these other things. So part of the healthcare push is to avoid terminal events like that where you die. Exercise is a big deal. And the intervention of exercise is wonderful. There is a discussion going on out there in the world now that it's like, how good is exercise in perimenopause and menopause for women? Asking that question immediately makes me think like the null hypothesis of that experiment is, would the lack of exercise be detrimental to the person, right? So you're trying to prove, I guess, that the lack of exercise would not be good. Why do we have to study that?
That's a great question because we know, and this is not opinion, this is fact with tons of research, tons of literature behind it, is that there is so much benefit to being healthy, lifting weights, and a lot of it probably because it targets the metabolic system specifically through muscle acquisition, right? So we know that. That's hopefully if someone says that's not true, they don't have an MD. But so if we know that all these benefits exist from this particular type of exercise, resistance training, then we also have to have the equal opposite of the consequence from not training.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have the thing that provides the benefit and then have not the consequence from not doing the thing.
Right.
So why would we take this specific demographic that's already has issues and say it's better that they don't do this thing that we know has all the benefits?
Right.
It makes zero sense to me.
0 cents. And then the craziest part is
that's what they call nonsense.
Nonsense. Yeah, 0 cents.
0 cents.
And then they try to claim that if you are perimenopausal or menopausal, exercise might injure you. Be careful of certain things. Let me tell you something. A pregnant woman, a non-pregnant woman, a teenage woman, an elderly woman, you guys all need to move. We all need to move. Men, women, independent of any other social attribute, you gotta move.
Let's dissect that statement into like a micro level. Like if you sprained your ankle and a doctor says, don't do anything that bothers you.
Yep.
What happens is that tissue in that area becomes more fragile and more susceptible to further injury because you have deconditioned all the physiological, biological processes that would make that structure stronger.
Yeah.
So why would we say that this population has an increased risk of X and then omit the thing that would actually make them better? Again, it's against common sense.
Now the bell curve, I want to prove to people that muscles and muscle movement, I think, lives on a bell curve too. If you don't do any of it, you don't experience any of the mental high of movement. If you do a ton of it, like these ultra marathoners and everything, clearly they're searching for the high they once had from muscular use. Using that as an example with ultra marathon style endurance athletes and bodybuilders on one extreme versus people that literally sit on a couch on another, we have to then assume, imagine looking at your muscles like a drug dealer. Okay? Philosophically, think about your muscles like a drug dealer, and they're dealing the drugs that your brain really wants. Now, there's a spectrum of that. There's brains that don't want it. Those are the people on the couch. And then there's brains that can't stop, just like they would be addicted to anything. And they're on the way far extreme. But everybody in the middle, I think, needs to start to appreciate the fact that your muscles, when you use them, actually provide a chemical stimulation to your brain that makes you happy. It is 100% proven. ADHD, anxiety, depression, all of it gets better with exercise. Why? It's not just like the movement and the excitement of seeing the world. No, it's actually your muscles pumping, using insulin, metabolizing carbohydrates and fats, making more hormones, stimulating your brain to have energy, and that's what provides you with the antidepressant, anti-anxiolytic style exercise approach. So with that being said, we got to start looking at the muscles as drug addicts. The payment is carbohydrates. The movement is what produces the drug. So you put the carbohydrates in, you move the muscles, you make the drug, the brain gets what it wants. We got to start viewing it like that. It is not just a structural component of your body to keep your bones together. It is actually an organ that I am now convinced structurally works well, but in whoever invented the human body, they're like, oh, if we can make this double down as a structural component, but while it's helping you move, you're also sending chemicals to your brain to make it happy, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And that is actually what happens in total. So back to your statement on muscle mass being the most important thing, like all we want to do in here is build muscle mass. The whole point of it is no regression, maintenance, or progression. But how do we philosophically also tell people that maintenance is progression? It's a lack of regression.
The simple way of thinking about it is sometimes not taking a step backwards is progress. So, and we've had this like in-person discussion with multiple people that show us their decks, and they're like, hey, 6 months ago, I was at the same skeletal muscle mass. It's like, yeah, but you're 63 and a half now. That means you didn't age from a metabolic perspective, right. Which is, and it's hard because this is a new concept. This is a new idea to people who have been told, well, you know, if you're not making progress all the time, if you're not getting richer, if you're not getting bigger, you're not getting faster, you're not making progress.
Right.
Which is patently false.
Right.
In the context of metabolic wellness.
Yep.
And if you want to say longevity, right? Because what you have right now is going to keep going and afford you the ability to do what you want to do in 10 years, in 15 years. So, and it's again, like people don't really think in abstraction well, but it's that concept that we have to hit home time and time again. And as you get older, you probably want those kind of like big wins.
Yeah.
But the big win is that you didn't go backwards.
Huge win.
Yeah.
And I think lack of regression is how we got to like make sure everybody knows it. Now, muscle mass and women. How do we convince even younger girls or the entire population of women to understand that muscle mass, muscle tone, and endurance with your muscle mass is a big deal? And I think the female population can get a huge advantage in their healthcare by starting to embrace that. Which then brings me to the point, we always have these like labeled events where, you know, you go through puberty and then you go through perimenopause and then you go through menopause and there's moments of time. If we stop looking at those as like those specific moments in time and it's a progression of all events, what we should really try to do is expand our adolescent style puberty time to that perimenopausal menopausal time and make that gap bigger. And how would we do that? Well, it's extending perimenopause so you don't really get those nasty symptoms, and then transitioning into a menopause where the menopausal stoppage of ovulation is allowed to happen, but the chemical distraction from the human body is not. And I think once we understand that and we don't look at it as, oh, we're giving you hormones because we're giving them on top of something. No, it's actually like your playing field was completely not level and we got it level again. And that to me is a big deal because women look at it now as we're adding something to them that they don't have, but we're adding something that they've always had.
Yeah.
And they now just don't have it enough. Exercise is the same thing. Walking is the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So how do we teach people that adding on top of a walk, when they say, hey, a walk's good, that those things will supply them with a better result? And then medically, how can I support that? So we'll start with yours, and then I'm going to get into a little bit of the medical support with the differences between bioidentical and synthetic and things like that in terms of our hormonal approach.
It reminds me of the Japanese proverb that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Yep.
The second best time is to plant it now.
Yeah.
And if we just looked at that as the introduction of personal well-being, health, the responsibility of personal well-being and health, if we start that earlier, especially let's say in the female population where things like running and training are synonymous with like what you should be doing as not even an athlete, just as a healthy young adult that's trying to figure out how to become a healthy, productive, grown adult.
Yep.
And if we had more women or girls 12 to 13 getting introduced to a weight room, again, whether it be sports or athletic activities or just general well-being, I would think that would be a lot easier to assimilate that throughout their life, and they would be more cognizant of all the things that happen as you grow and mature.
Right.
Because like, you know, we say it all the time. It's like, remember yesterday when we were 20? Yeah, that was 25 years ago. Like it happens fast. So like if you're not adequately prepared or thinking about these things and you don't already have the healthy lifestyle and the habits, it just gets harder to bring that back in. So if someone was introduced at 13 to weightlifting and 18, they figured out that the birth control pill maybe not be the best thing for them long term. Then it's not such a surprise at 37 or 42 when they hit perimenopause
to help them.
Right. And they probably get into that stage of their life in a better position. And it just goes with the proactive approach.
And the other thing I was thinking is like, say in lower school or whatever, there's recess. And then you get into the position where it's all study halls. And we're study hall. And I don't know if currently the progression of intellect in the world is actually progressing healthcare. It's not. So we keep forcing all these students in these cinder block boxes called schools to learn about all these subjects that we then pressure them to know. Study hall is in a chair and reading and learning more and more homework and more homework and more homework. And we're forcing them in their free time to do that. What if study hall was an active engagement with movement? And what if sports were quote unquote mandatory, but in a way where it was like maybe not just sport, but movement? You teach people how to do push-ups, sit-ups, use their arms, use their body, climb a rope, climb a ladder, go up and down, like things that you do with your body every day that then would transition as an adult. Because if you start with kids building muscle mass at the ages we were talking about, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, they're going to be used to lifting when they're 20, 25, even more so when they're 60, 65. The old adage of like, don't lift when you're too young is gone. That's done. So we know we can introduce resistance training to the children, and I think we should. And we should train them the same way we train them in school to become professionals in whatever that arena is. We should train them to become health professionals. I should not be called a health professional. You should. Whoever, like the human, not you particular or me, like the consumer. You're a health professional. We are guides. MD should be a guide. We should help you in your endeavor towards health, but we shouldn't have to like teach you how to do it as an adult. We should start that as a kid. Now, the introduction of hormones is an odd topic because everyone just looks at them. We talked about this yesterday. Like they're steroids. Like you take these drugs and it's the back of a gym and you just get big and bulky and then you get angry and go do something bad. But there's a very big difference between that means and hormonal balances in a metabolic world. The metabolic balance we strive for is to provide somebody with the environment that their body is chemically suited to go into a exercise environment and perform well. If I said to you, what's the difference between bioidentical hormones and synthetic hormones, what would you tell me?
In layman's term, bioidentical is what is found that is produced in the human body, and synthetic is any alternative that isn't produced by a male or female human.
Perfect. And I think that's the exact definition that we should use. So when we deliver a hormonal balanced medication to you as a consumer, everything out of this office is bioidentical, just like Mike said. The human body would make the exact same chemical in the exact same compound. Synthetics are ones that are made with extra added chemicals on them that then your body has to metabolize, break down to get to the usable source. The studies that they express the bad outcomes from are the synthetics. Those are the ones your body needs to metabolize to then make the active ingredient. The bioidentical we use here in every instance has zero risk factor relative to the studies that they have produced. It actually shows a decrease in risk for cancer and a decrease in all-cause mortality. So the data specifically shows that bioidentical hormones increase your quality of life, longevity, and the likelihood of you surviving a long time. That needs to be known. The world of medicine out there has been prescribing synthetics forever. The birth control that they just throw around is a synthetic medication. They prescribe those to a teenager with no problem, and then they tell an adult 2 minutes later in the same office space that the drug they're giving that teenager would possibly cause cancer in that adult. Don't use it. That's a messed up situation. That doesn't make sense to me. You're telling one person to take a medication that you're telling another makes cancer. So the distinction between bioidentical and synthetic needs to be clear. Everything from an RTS Health prescriptive perspective is going to be bioidentical. The regular pharmaceutical world will send in prescriptions for non-bioidentical synthetic hormones. We need to understand that, and we need to digest it. What is a reasonable solution? Because now we've been talking about educating the pediatric population. I think the reasonable solution has to be devised. We can help come up with it, but it's got to be an introduction, I think, of resistance training to the youth. That push in women's healthcare for me would be as big as any. I think the youth movement of healthcare needs to be grasped even harder because we're starting to see diabetes. Now there's a ton of colon cancers coming out in younger people that they're really making a fuss about. What would you say to somebody who listens to this entire thing and still says, well, like, there's no way I can't go to the gym. It's too scary. How do we continue to let these people understand, like, all we want to do is have you embrace your healthcare movement, and then I'll give a little piece on how we'll help that human potentially interact with us on a medical basis.
Every decision has to be weighed against the trade-off that you're willing to make.
Yep.
So if you're fine with not going to the gym or overcoming your fear or anxiety around going to the gym, look down the road 20, 25 years and whatever trajectory and whatever directionality that you're on right now, imagine the worst case scenario. Because I'm sure it's a lot scarier to go in for your once a year appointment with your doctor and he says, I'm sorry to say that you have diabetes or high blood pressure or insert whatever affliction that it could be, rather than, man, if I just went to the gym and overcame my concern for maybe looking stupid or maybe it not working, I'd rather take, option A. Yeah. Right. And part of it is this unique discovery process that everyone has to go through is like, what's it worth to you? Like we talk about value all the time.
I think that's the biggest thing.
And it's like, well, is it worth fighting this little dragon right now or this giant dragon that you don't even know when he's going to show up?
Yeah.
And just having a little bit more say in how your life is going to go. Like we're not saying we're going to eliminate all these bad things in your life.
Yeah, it's impossible.
You can get hit by a car tomorrow. But it's like, are you living on your own terms so that you get what you want out of life? And that's truly the only measure of intelligence. Do you get out of life what you want?
What you want, right.
And if exercise can help you do that, if diet can help you do that, if medicine, proactive healthcare can help you do that, this is what we're here for.
Yeah. And medically, all we want to do is support that. Because what we're doing is this isn't medicine like in hospital where people think you come in, we do something, and you walk out totally different. Like if you walk into a hospital to get a total knee, you leave with a different knee and feeling, oh, my knee changed. You walk in this office, you might leave with a bunch of questions, being told you got to eat more carbs, eat more protein, move a little more. The homework is there for you to do. It's the process engagement. And that process engagement to get to a result is really what we're trying to get people to buy into. And on the medical end of it, the support would be exactly fueling your body so that you can go do those things. Because as you age, quote unquote, the aging process progresses. It is not parallel to disease. So age and disease have no correlation. It's actually a misnomer, and I don't know why we try to convince people that. But as you age, you have to start really paying attention to more parameters over time that might change. And as long as you keep an eye on those and you fix it, it's just like a house. There's homes still around from 1900, and then there's homes from 1900 that crumbled 50 years ago. It's just a maintenance issue. And the human body, I always prove it to people by saying one thing. There's babies that are born stillbirth dead, and then there's humans that live till 120. So clearly time has no effect on your health. It is up to you and how hard you're going to grab onto it. Marcus is our filming guy. He's behind the scenes. He's always up here for a quick question or two. Marcus, as a younger adult, what is your vision in terms of your future for what you think healthcare should turn into in this world?
Can you reframe that, man?
So like right now there's a sick system. You pay into an insurance program and then you get what you get. What do you think will enhance from your perspective of a younger style brain, right? Because you're in your 20s. We're in our 40s. It's two different perspectives. But what's your thoughts on progression of events to get healthcare better?
Yeah, I would say maybe if it's more of a system of, I guess the right word would be like meritocracy, like a system where the best
not just a pretty face
get to work with the best, and I think that would make people want to work harder at their health and actually like earn it.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing because you're how old?
24.
So you're 24. You live by yourself. You run a production team and you do videography and you work like a dog and you work really hard. I think you're a little different than most people, right? Your brain is telling you to go, you're going to do professional things. And I think your perspective on healthcare is incredible. If your generation of brains turns into a meritocracy-based healthcare system, that is actually, I think, a really good system because the more effort you put in, the better reward you get. And if you put in no effort, you really get no reward. What do you think your best advantage to staying healthy would be? Is it going to be the exercise, the nutrition, the medicine, or what's your take on that?
Keeping moving. As long as I can keep doing jiu-jitsu, keep doing what I want to do, keep moving, I think is just that's the biggest factor.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. I will say a couple things we want to rehash. RTS Health, currently under expansion. RTS Health will be the future of healthcare. Exercise, nutrition, dietary consultant, PT, medicine, the whole thing. And the whole goal is we want to get people trapped in a system where you don't have to go anywhere else. You get everything you want based on how much you want out of it. And truly, we'll give you whatever you want out of it. But it's a full spectrum healthcare facility. We're located in Hamden, Connecticut, 109 Sanford Street. There's 2 buildings. Giant gym, how many square feet?
About 20,000.
20,000 square feet. A new 9,000 square foot, half prepared meals, half medical office, all in the same compound. The big thing we want to do here is just promote health. That's it. We're not here to bully anybody into health. We don't really care if you don't want to do this. That sounds harsh, but I tell every one of my clients, at the end of the day, healthcare is up to you. If you want to go grab it, it's there to take. It is right in front of you. We can give it to you. But if you don't want it, you don't need to take it. We want active engagers. Until next week, adios.
Have a great weekend.